and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be fixing an iron. I figured the previous video wasn't really clear. Moreover, there are different kinds of iron with different interior designs. Let's get into the video. As you can see, it's not coming on. Let's open her up. See this label? It's quite common with a lot of irons. Most often they have screws behind them. It primarily makes for a slick finish. Taking out the screws, then the knobby thingy. It's usually called the regulator switch. Next is to carefully take out the blue top of the handle. It's really important to be careful while taking the parts out, because you never know what fragile end is gonna break. It's almost like they're looking for an opportunity to disjoint. Looks like this guy's proven rather stubborn. Or we'll get you out in no time. When I said fragile ends, I meant stuff like this tiny anchor plastics that were used to attach it to the main handle. Next, we release the wire. Basically taking out screws from this point forward. Okay, so we keep taking out any screws in place until we arrive at the core, the center of action. Well, it's more like the pericore, because we still have a few more screws before we get to the core. Now this is the light indicator. And here we are, where the magic happens. This right here is the most important part of a pressing iron. This is where you have the heating element, the heat regulator, aka the thermostat. There is the tester. It serves to feel around the terminals so we can see what went wrong. What I usually do is put in the plug and have current run through the appliance so I can figure out what went wrong. Well, in this case, I thought the camera was capturing the tester indicator. Alright, the core looks just fine. So I took off the top case of the plug and look at what we have here. Those are sparks. Turns out the plug is funky. And there we found our problem. We need a new plug. So now we have to take out the ends of the wire from the plug, prepare it for a new plug. Taking out the screws. This actually reminds me of Dr. Melendez from The Good Doctor, where you have to, while performing a surgical procedure, right in the moment, he goes on dictating every step of the process. And I'm like, did they actually do that in real life? Because, I mean, it's odd having to talk over a surgical operation. Yes, they have their Newsmax and all, but still feels odd. Yeah, I mentioned Dr. Melendez because he's my favorite doctor in that movie. Of course, there's Dr. Murphy, but his autism gets in the way of my judgment. I mean, he was really lucky. He had the president basically making way for him. It's like that allowed him to be stupid. Yeah, it's true he has a mental condition that desensitizes him to other people's emotion. Just before I digressed, we're prepping the ends of the wire, skinning, then twining. Yeah, twining. And then just bending them into a nice shape so that it can fit snugly into those holes, loops. Next is to fit them into their respective positions. The brown goes to the fuse. The blue wire goes to the neutral point. That's the one with our fuse. Or sometimes they usually indicate them with an N somewhere inscribed at the bottom. And then there is the green that goes to Earth. Okay, that's not actually Earth. It just goes to the biggest rod you see there. Next, we fasten the stopper. Now I call it that because it reminds me of bead making. It basically serves the same function as the tiny silver or gold ring stoppers used in bead making. They keep the beads from slipping out the linings. In goes the last screw. Now we're done. Let's test this guy. Look at that. You can see the light indicator comes on. That shows our iron is back in business. Now it's time to wrap this up. Just screw everything back in place. This usually isn't so difficult, especially if it's not your first time working on an iron. If it's your first time, you might want to separate the screws according to where you got them from to avoid mistakes. So we get the screw in left and right. There, the base case is done. And then we arrange the light indicator in place. Now, top case. Before I forget, quick recommendation. You might want to check out The Good Doctor. It's awfully interesting. I mean, aside from the autistic doctor and the oversharer, aka Dr. Too bad I can't remember her name for some reason. I'm terrible with names. Well, and then there is the ex-cop turned doctor. Also can't remember that guy's name. Huh? So sad. I refused to watch the movie initially because it went against my general choice of movies, which includes action, horror, gore, well, if that exists. Well, all things body, basically. Next, we fit the knob in. Just right there. I don't know if you see that T shape that matches the one on the knob. Just slot it in like that. Yeah. And there it's functional. Screw the stopper back in place. Back to The Good Doctor. You know how I said it lacked blood and gore and horror and action? Well, I was wrong. Because having patients bleed out during surgical operations, now that's bloody. That's one bloody mess. Or having to watch patients fight between life and death. That's a lot of action there. And for the gore, well, the bloody part. In as much as I would like to keep talking about The Good Doctor, I wouldn't want to drop any spoilers, so we've come to the end of our movie recommendation. Just give it a shot. Finally, the last set of screws. And last but not least, the label. Just fit it back on like that. And there we have it, we're done. Now we're gonna have to test this guy just to make sure it's working, even now that it's all set. Oh, look at that. That's our light indicator. This guy is functional. I think we've come to the end of today's video. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Ciao, Bellas.